Guruve Gaura Chanjaya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatruvyaschа Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dhanyavad Pranam, devotees. So, a devotee asked me if I'd ever done something called rapid fire questions and answers. So I told him I've not personally done it. So he sent me a list of questions. I don't know if he sent the same questions to other people or not, but the idea is you're supposed to just go through them and answer them sort of in rapid fashion in sort of more or less very succinct answers to the questions. So, and this is apropos because I don't have a lot of time today, so I thought it'd be interesting and as well fun to go ahead and do this. So the first question was that everybody who comes to the path of Bhakti and joins an institution goes back to Godhead when they die. No. It's clearly mentioned that actually according to the nature of your realization at the time that you pass away, that status you will obtain. If you've not obtained your siddhi in Bhakti, then you'll take birth again in order to have another opportunity to progress from that place. Ritvik. No. There's no philosophical basis for Ritvik Vad in our Sastra. So it was an institutional consideration by some people based on observing circumstances and dynamics within an institution, but it's not Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. Therefore, we cannot ascribe to it as a valid part of our theology to have post-samadhi initiations by a Guru. It takes a pure devotee to know one. Not absolutely true. In a deeper sense, yes. But in a pragmatic sense, no. Because Hari Bhakti Vilas has recommended one should have association with Guru for 1 year so they can do mutual pariksha or mutual examination. If there's no possibility to understand the quality of a Vaishnav, then that would not be recommended. Right? And obviously, if we don't have an opportunity to know something of Guru Tattva and how that applies to a particular personality, then we would be always accepting Guru in a blind position. And that's not advocated in Sastra. Even in Bhagavad Gita it's mentioned, Tadvidi Pranipatena Priprishna Shevaya. Right? So we should make inquiry in order to try to understand, based on Guru Tattva, if this person is actually qualified to be Guru. Alright. Science and Bhakti. They're opposed to each other. No, I've actually just had this discussion recently, obviously, and I've told wherever there's a synthesis between science and Bhakti, we applaud it. Wherever there's a divergence between the two things, we align with Bhakti because Bhakti is an absolute truth and science is a relative science. Quite literally. It's the study of relativity or the activities of the relative world. So wherever there's a divergence between two opinions, then we align with the absolute opinion, which is based in the absolute truth. All right, let me reopen this. Okay. We fell from the spiritual world. I've dealt with that many times, and I'm sure many other devotees have also replied to this if it's the same questions you're asking everybody. Absolutely not. There's just unlimited evidence, both directly from our Srila Prabhupada and from all of our acharyas, that it is not possible to fall from the spiritual world, because the spiritual world, there is no illusion present. In the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's established that the Dham is Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastam Kuhakam. It means that it is forever free from illusion. So there's no impetus by which one could become illusioned in the spiritual world. Plus, Rupa Goswami Pad has described that when you have a relationship with Krishna, Savata Dongsa Rahitam, Yarapi Dongsa Karane. You understand? That relationship cannot be broken. There's no cause that could arise to break that relationship. Right? So essentially, no, we do not fall from the spiritual world. You can look at 7th Canto, 1st chapter, verse 35, I believe it is, or something like that. I'll get the numbers actually. but basically Srila Prabhupada also establishes conclusively, both in the third canto and seventh canto, that unless there's actually to be something done on behalf of service to the Lord, it should be understood that no one falls from Vaikuntha. So that's a very, very clear statement. Somebody tells, I've had darshan of Krishna. Should we believe them? It's not our position to try to evaluate anybody's subjective experiences in bhakti, but for the most part, there are symptoms of having been availed the darshan of Krishna. One is that one's life would obviously not be the same, because if you've had access to the absolute spiritual paradigm, then your experience in the relative paradigm would be very changed forever, so to speak. So, so just the idea, I've had darshan of Krishna, in general it could be one of many things. One, it was generally having a darshan. Two, it was kalpana, means imagination. Three, it was the byproduct of prakrita sahajavad. Or four, a person may have had a dream or something and they're conflating the two things. All right, I have to keep opening my phone, I am sorry. Bhakti should be, Bhakti and the Indian dress and Indian way of singing and other kinds of things aren't necessarily bhakti. Well, yeah, bhakti is not a cultural phenomenon. Bhakti is a divine spiritual phenomenon. It's not a cultural phenomenon. On the other hand, the culture that was built around the practice of bhakti, much of it has very much significance in bhakti. Like Vaishnav Chinadharan, means the wearing of the emblems of Vaishnavism, tilak, kontimala, shika for men, etc. All of these things were recommended by Rupa Goswami Pad in the 64 Angas of Bhakti. Now, Srila Prabhupada obviously made adjustments, and other acharyas as well, even back to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that if it is there's a necessity somehow or another due to some social arrangement, then adjustments can be made. But we don't align that bhakti is, aligned with this culture or that culture, right? So for instance, we don't want to swing the pendulum from one extreme to the other. Well, there's the Indian version of bhakti, and then there's the Western version of bhakti. Bhakti is bhakti. Understand? So bhakti is about the realizations that come in the heart regarding love of God. Okay? Last one. The Gaudiya Math and ISKCON are two separate things. No, actually all belong to Gaura Parivar. It means they belong to the family of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Different institutions, even within Gaudiya Math, there are many institutions. So Gaudiya Math is not one homogeneous entity, like it was during the time of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. There are many separate missions, each with their own acharyas. So ISKCON would be an expansion or an extension of that, right? That it was founded by Srila Prabhupada, and he's the founder acharya of this society, right? So in each mission, there's similarly a person who's the acharya of that Mata mission, etc., etc. So they're not separate things. We all belong to the family of Mahaprabhu, and the idea of seeing in a sectarian way division, Bhaktivinoda Thakur called this one of the greatest problems in the Vaishnav Mandal. Because once you create a separation among Vaishnavas, it creates the inability to have Vaishnav Sangha where it may be most valuable, based on the idea of sectarian dynamics. Well, we can't associate with this group, and we can't associate with that group. And then if there's any Mahapurush in any of those groups, then we miss out on having that association. And that's the divine principle in Bhakti, is Sadhu Sangha. So we always want the ability to avail ourselves to that kind of Sangha, and that way we cannot afford to have sectarian dynamics. All right, that was my rapid fire answer to all the questions. I do have services to do. And yes, it was fun. I guess you have to kind of be thinking very quickly. But yeah, so hopefully, Prabhuji, that was fun for you. I don't know if I'm going to keep this up as a permanent post, because this was something that was just a one-off and it was fun. All right, my Dandavat Pranam, Jai Vancha Kopa Turuvisha. Kripa Sindhu Vaishnaveyo Namo Namaha. Jai Radhe Radhe.